Words appear. Learning Together with Zoe Fiogkos and Victor Gouveia announcing. On Whose Blind Life Is It Anyway? And Zoe's Blind Kitchen Corner. The Blind Perspective Network. Brought to you by VIP Tech and Greek Auto Services. Welcome everyone to Learning Together here on Whose Blind Life Is It Anyway? And Zoe's Blind Kitchen Corner. Brought to you by VIP Tech and Greek Auto Services. My name is Victor Gouveia and I'll be your announcer. Remember, if you like what you're about to hear, activate the like button and definitely share it with your friends and families, especially if you think they can benefit from anything that's said here. And subscribe to the YouTube channels, both Whose Blind Life Is It Anyway? And Zoe's Blind Kitchen Corner, and making sure to hit the notification bell so you know when we go live or upload a new video. Additionally, on Whose Blind Life Is It Anyway? We are on our Facebook page and streaming live to Twitter at Blind Whose. That's BLINDWHOSE. If you don't like any of those platforms, you may benefit from podcasts. If you have a 9 device, a Google device, Android, Windows device, or if you have a Amazon device, you can find us on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, all the usual podcasts. If you ask her, and by her you know who I'm talking about, the inanimate object with 2 A's in its name, she'll actually go find Whose Blind Life Is It Anyway? And play it for you. If you want a copy of the video or audio for this episode or any episode that's broadcast on our channels, feel free to send us an email, whoseblindlifeisanyway@gmail.com, or Zoe's Blind Kitchen Corner @gmail.com, or you can DM Zoe Fiogkos and Victor Gouveia on Facebook or Twitter, and we will send out a folder link on Dropbox that houses all the episodes that are broadcast on these channels. On this episode of Learning Together, Zoe Fiogkos gives you a basic introduction to VoiceOver on the Mac. Zoe has switched from Windows to Mac, though she still uses both at home, and she has become almost adept at it, and she wants people who are new to the platform to enjoy and learn how to use VoiceOver for all it's worth. Should you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section, or you can email them to us, whoseblindlifeisanyway@gmail.com, or Zoe's Blind Kitchen Corner @gmail.com. Now, I present to you your host, Zoe Fiogkos.
Hi everybody! It's another episode of Learning Together, and if you remember on the last episode, we talked about the desktop on the Mac in comparison to Windows and JAWS. So today we're going to talk about VoiceOver on the Mac. Now, before we start, I want to mention a few things. The first thing is I'm running Catalina. This is a 27-inch late 2013 iMac. So it doesn't take the newest update, which is oh, I forget the name of it. Big Sur, something like that. I don't know the name really correctly, just because I can't use it because it doesn't take the update. So, some of the features I'm showing you may be a little different in Big Sur in the next update. Now, it is in the plans for me. Sorry, something's bothering my eyes. It's in the plans for me to get a new Mac computer. I'd like to say in the near future, but I don't know how long it's going to be. Maybe a couple of months, maybe 5-6 months. But for what we need to talk about, we don't need the new update. Even though, again, maybe a keystroke is a little different. Now, whatever I teach you guys, right, okay. Whatever I show you guys on the Mac, if it changes in the next update when I get the new Mac, I will tell you guys, or I will show it to you, or whatever the case is. Now, I want to tell you that when you buy a Mac and you plug it in and you turn on the power, it's going to walk you through a setup like any computer. Windows does the same thing. So what you would do is you would turn on the computer and you would wait a while, and then you would press the keystroke Command F5, and that will turn VoiceOver on so that you can set up your computer by yourself without any sighted assistance. If I remember correctly, and I will do a video of this when I get my new computer. If I remember correctly, the computer detects that you're using VoiceOver for the first time. So it will ask you, are you a VoiceOver user or not? You choose, for example, no. And it'll set up your computer, but it will put you into VoiceOver training. Because this is an old Mac, and I've already had it for so many years, I've already done all that. So I actually can't show it to you on this Mac. However, there is a way to access the VoiceOver training even now, even though I have my computer all set up and I've been using it for a while. So anyway, we're just going to talk a little bit about VoiceOver, turning it on and off, which I already mentioned, but I'm going to demonstrate it for you. We're going to talk about VoiceOver Utility, which is it's like your JAWS settings center. This is where you customize VoiceOver to your liking. So anyways, before I tell you talk so much, let's get started. So if I was just setting up this computer for the first time, I'm going to turn off, hold on. So it's the same thing. So we said that the 3 keys next to the space bar on the left of your space bar are your control, your option, and your command. So COC, a way to remember them. Control, option, command. If I hold down command. Hold on, sorry. Let me turn up the volume so you guys can hear it.
Command. Increase icon size.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Option.
Sorry.
Control.
All right. Let's see, is that loud enough? Let's see.
Command.
That sounds good to me. Okay. So command F5.
VoiceOver off.
So VoiceOver off. So let's pretend that you have turned on your new computer, and of course you waited a while, and now what? You either have to get sighted assistance or you turn VoiceOver on. So you press command and listen to what happens.
VoiceOver on Finder. Desktop. Important scans. Folder.
Okay.
You are currently on a folder.
Now, if you're just logging in or using VoiceOver for the first time, it will say something different. Okay? So that's the way you turn VoiceOver on and off. So I've turned it on, and if I press, well, for starters, let's press I remember I mentioned in the first episode, your VO keys are your control and your option, or your caps lock if you have it set up that way. So if I press caps lock K, listen to what happens.
Starting keyboard help. Type keys to hear their names. Hold down the voiceover keys while typing to hear voiceover commands. Press the escape key at the top left corner of the keyboard to stop help.
So basically, if the speech is too fast or the sound isn't that great, she's telling us that I just started keyboard help. No matter what I press on the keyboard, except for the escape button, no matter what I press on the keyboard, nothing's going to happen to my computer. It's actually going to tell me the functions of those keys. And it's actually a really good thing to do every once in a while to remind yourself of what your key commands. Of course, we'll talk about hotkeys. We'll talk about the fact that you can set up VoiceOver at a verbosity level to announce hints and help tags and hotkeys and the menus and so on and so forth. But this is also a good thing. If you kind of think, whoa, if you're kind of saying to yourself, gee now, what was my, I don't know, okay, well, hold on. Let me show you something. So if I press my caps lock or my VO keys.
Control, Option. F1, describe open applications, gives an overview of the working environment.
So it just told me that describes my open application. For example, let's say you wanted that. So you want to know what window you have open. You forgot which one you opened and you want to know. That's what you would press. I'll do it with caps lock as well so you can hear it. Hold on.
Caps lock. F1, open application chooser, brings up a list of currently opened applications.
Actually, sorry, okay.
Caps lock. F1, describe open applications, gives an overview of the working environment.
But if I do caps lock.
Caps lock. F1, describe open applications, gives an overview of the working environment.
Yeah, anyways, it's not, she's being stubborn. Anyways, what I was trying to get at is if you're trying to say, oh my God, describe my open application. Was it VOF1? Was it VOF2? Oh, I'll just press keyboard help. And we've pressed it. And I'll press
Control, Option.
my VO keys and F2.
F2, describe window, gives an overview of the current window.
Describe open,
F2, open window chooser, brings up a list of currently opened windows. F1, describe open applications, gives an overview of the working environment.
Okay, so if I press, for example,
Control, Option, F. Foxtrot, finds an object that matches text within the window.
Finds an object, so on and so forth. If I do VO comma,
Mark item to drag and drop, mark the item for later drag and drop.
Marking something for dragging and dropping, okay? So, so for example, I'm gonna press, excuse me.
Control, Option, End, go to end, moves the voiceover cursor to the end.
So I pressed VO end. Now listen to this.
Control, Option, FN, end, go to end, moves the voiceover cursor to the end, FN.
So you can try different combinations. I just clicked VO FN end and it does nothing different. So, for example,
FN, forward delete.
I pressed the FN forward delete. It does nothing.
FN, backslash.
It does nothing.
Right bracket.
It does nothing. So I'm testing out keys.
FN, eject. F13. Increase volume.
So, if I do FN,
increase volume. FN, F12.
So if I do FN, F12, it increases volume.
FN, decrease volume.
FN, F11, decreases volume. So, if I do
Control,
VO,
Option, F11.
VO F11, it does nothing. If I
Control,
do
Option, F12.
Vo F12, it does nothing.
F10. Tile visuals. Tiles voiceover visuals on the screen, such as the voiceover cursor and the caption panel, making them the only visible items over a darkened screen.
So VO F10, she just told us what it does.
Control. Option. F9.
F9, VO does nothing.
F8. Open voiceover utility. Opens the
Open.
voiceover utility application for setting options related to voiceover.
So VO F8, that's your voiceover utility, just like your JAWS settings center. And if you don't want to press the VO keys,
Caps lock. F8. Open voiceover utility. Opens the voiceover utility application for setting options related to voiceover.
okay? So if you just want to press one key plus the F8, the caps lock and the F8, that's what it will tell you. So this is the way you can work with the keyboard help. And remember, your keyboard help is
Control. Option. K. Kilo. Stopping keyboard help. Starting keyboard help. Type keys to hear their names. Hold down the voiceover keys while typing to hear voiceover commands. Press the escape key at the top left corner of the keyboard to stop help. Escape. Stopping keyboard help.
okay. So I clicked escape and she stopped the help. So we know now that VOK will start the voiceover keyboard help. Escape will stop it. While you're in the keyboard help, you can press a whole bunch of keys and figure out what they do. And we talked about turning voiceover on and off with, pardon me, with Command F5. So you definitely, starting on the Mac, you definitely need these two things. Now, I'm going to go into, I'm going to go to the dock by pressing my VO keys.
Control. Option. Dock.
So that's
System preferences. You.
okay. So that's V.
Control.
Okay, I pressed Control to shut her up. So VOD. So the VO keys plus D. So Control Option D gets you to the dock. And there's a reason I took you guys here.
Control. Mail. System preferences.
Okay, I'm
You
gonna
are currently
go.
on an application dock item. To open this application, press Control, Option, Space.
So see what she just said? Cause I consider myself a newbie on the Mac. I have verbosity set to high so that she can basically remind me of all my shortcut keys and how to open things and what to do, just in case I forget. I'm actually feeling very comfortable with the Mac, so I'm planning to turn it off. But I decided to leave it on now since I'm going to do these videos. So she basically said that I'm on this folder, and if I want to open this app or folder or icon, whatever you want to call it, I need to press VO spacebar. So I'm going to do that.
Finder, Desktop, System Preferences, Window, Toolbar. You are currently on a toolbar.
Okay, she's telling us we're on a toolbar.
Control.
Now, I will get into navigation, but I just really want to talk about VoiceOver today. So, I'm just going to use my Vogue keys and go right.
Control, Zoe Fiogkos, Apple ID,
Okay.
iCloud, Apple ID, button, family sharing, but preference panes, scroll area.
We went through a few things that, don't worry about it, we're not going to talk about those now. So, I basically went to the right about 4 times until I heard preference panes.
Control, family share, preference panes, scroll area. You
Preference,
are currently on a scroll area.
preference panes
Control.
scroll area. Now, when you hear anywhere on the Mac scroll area, you need to interact. So what that means is, it's almost like having a book with a see-through cover where you can see the contents of the book, but you don't have access to them until you open that cover to get inside. So it's almost like as if it's layers. So what they want you to do right now, and this is the hard part about learning the Mac when you're coming from Windows. This is the only hard part. Well, I shouldn't say the only, but once you get used to this, things will come easier. You need to interact with this area. It's telling you that the area is there, but you don't have access to it. The way you get access to it is you press your Vo keys,
Control. Option.
your Shift, I'm holding them down, and with my third finger, I'm going to press the Shift.
Shift.
So now I'm holding down 3 keys. Control, Option, Shift, and I'm going to arrow down once.
In preference panes, scroll area. 29 item.
Okay. So now she said
Control.
I'm in the preference panes. So I've interacted. So I went into that layer. And it told me it has 29 items. Now we are going to talk about all these things again and again. But remember that combination, okay? And, pardon me, when you do the voiceover training, it will tell you how to interact. It's going to make you practice. I'm going to show it to you right now.
Control.
So,
Option.
I'm holding down my Vo keys and I'm going to go right through the options.
Desktop and stock button. Mission control. Siri button. Spotlight. Language and reach notification. Internet accounts. Users and group. Accessibility button.
Okay.
You are currently on a button inside of a scroll area. To click this button, press Control, Option, Space. To stop interacting with this scroll area, press Control, Option, Shift, up arrow.
So she's telling me how to stop interacting with the area, which we don't want to do because we just interacted. We need to be here. She also told me how to press the button because we stopped at when we heard applications. So I'm just going to go left and right again so you can hear that again. And I'm going to shut her up when she starts talking about the interaction. So listen.
Option, Users and Group, Accessibility button. You are currently on a button inside of a scroll area. To click this button, press Control, Option, Space. To stop.
Okay. So she said you're on
Control.
a button in a scroll area. To access that, press VO space. So I'm going to do that.
Control, Option, Command.
Oops, I'm sorry. I by accident
Control,
pressed
Option.
something else.
Empty, scroll area. You are currently on a toolbar. To interact with the items on this toolbar, press Control, Up.
Okay. So now we're in
Control.
accessibility because she's announcing to us that we're on a toolbar. And I will talk about toolbars later, but I'm just going to Vo right again.
Control, Option, Accessibility Features, Table, Overview.
Okay. As soon as I arrowed once right, she's telling us we're in a table. We need to access that table. So what are we going to do? We're going to, again, so we have the table in view, but it's almost as if we can't touch it. The way we need to touch it is by interacting. So again, I'm going to do Vo, Shift,
In Accessibility Features,
down arrow. And she
Overview.
announced to me...
Selected. Overview. Row 1. Control. Control.
Okay. She announced to me that we're in the table. So, I'm going to
Control. Option.
Vo arrow down.
Vision. You
She
are currently on the
announced
cell.
vision.
Voiceover. You are currently on the
Voiceover.
Zoom.
Zoom.
You are display.
Display.
You are speech.
Speech.
You are descriptions.
Description.
You are currently on the hearing. You are current audio. You are currently RTT.
Okay, so hearing, audio,
Captions.
RTT.
You are currently on the cell. Inside of it.
Hearing, RTT, sorry,
Control.
captions.
Control. Option. Motor. You
Motor.
are voice control.
Voice control.
Keyboard. You are currently on
Keyboard.
the cell. In pointer control.
Pointer
You are
control.
switch control.
Switch control.
You are Siri.
Okay.
You are shortcut. Shortcut. You are
And basically Siri, shortcut,
Control.
general, so on and so forth. Now, this is not your voiceover utility. This is not like your JAWS setting center. This is accessibility. It's another section of accessibility, but we need this section. I'm just going to quickly go back to the top of the table.
option. Gen switch point keyboard mode cat art odd here display zoom voice of vision. You overview.
Okay.
You are vision. You are currently on shift out of accessibility.
Now, I pressed VO
Control.
Shift up arrow to stop interacting with the table. So I'm on the table, but I can't, again, it's in view, but I can't touch it. I'm going to VO right and listen to what she says.
Option. Control. Universal access pref. Image. Accessibility features adapt your Mac to your individual needs. You are currently on the tech. Your Mac can be customized to support your vision, hearing, physical motor, and learning and literacy requirements. Show accessibility status in menu bar. Checkbox. Help button. Help button.
Okay? So in this section is just kind of an introduction, and it asks you if you want accessibility to be a menu item in your menus. I have it checked, Some people don't. It's up to you. And it's got a help button, okay? So we're going to go back to the left now.
Control. Show your access. Universal accessibility features. Table. Oh.
So I went back. I VO'd
Selected.
left.
Control.
To get to the table. I'm going to interact with the table.
Option. Shift. In accessibility features. Table. Vision. Voiceover. You are currently on.
So I'm on voiceover.
Control.
She announced voiceover. So that's what I want. So I'm going to
Control.
VO
Option.
shift up arrow.
On accessibility features. Table.
She says out of accessibility features. Now I'm going to VO right.
VoiceOver provides spoken and braille descriptions of items on the computer screen and provides control of the computer through the use of the keyboard. You are currently on a text.
So she basically
Control.
gives you a small description of voiceover. I'm going to VO arrow right again.
Control. Option. Toggle voiceover. You are currently on a text element. Control. Option.
She said toggle voiceover.
Command F5. Toggle voiceover. You are currently on
Okay? And then she's announcing the
Control.
hotkey. I VO arrowed right. When I say VO, remember, it's always my control option or my caps lock key. So she announced to me what the key is. And the key is Command F5 to, excuse me, to turn voiceover on and off.
Control. Enable voiceover. Checkbox.
Okay. Now, when you turn on a new Mac, like I said, you're going to press Command F5. It's going to take you through training, so on and so forth. When you start playing with your settings and you go into, you got to make sure that this is enabled. Okay, that it said voiceover enabled checkbox checked.
Control. Option. Command F. Enable voiceover. Checkbox.
Okay.
You are currently on a checkbox.
You need to make sure that's checked.
Open voiceover training button. You are currently on a
And there she just said open
Control.
voiceover training, and it's a button. If I still continue to VO right, listen
Option.
to what
Control.
she says.
Open voiceover utility button.
So there's two buttons there, voiceover training and voiceover utility.
Control. Option. Show accessibility status in menu bar. Checkbox.
Again, it asks me if I want the accessibility in the menus
Help button.
and help
You are
button.
currently on a button.
So
To click this
let's-
button.
Quiet. Let's go to the training.
Control. Show access. Open voiceover utility button. Open voiceover training button. Press open voiceover. Welcome back. Welcome back to the voiceover quick start. To resume where you left off, press the right arrow key. To start at the beginning, press the left arrow key. Welcome back. Welcome back to the voiceover. Welcome back. Welcome back to the voiceover quick start. Welcome back. Welcome back to the voiceover quick start.
Quiet.
Voiceover on.
Okay, hold on a sec, guys.
Enable voiceover. Open voiceover training button. Press the voiceover quick start. In this quick start, you'll learn voiceover basics, as well as important voiceover commands to help you navigate on your Mac and use apps. You can exit the quick start at any time and finish it later. To advance through the quick start panels now, use the arrow keys located to the right of the main keyboard keys. On a portable computer, they're located in the bottom right corner of the keyboard. The up arrow and down arrow keys are positioned one above the other, with the left arrow and right arrow keys on either side. Now continue to the next panel by pressing the right arrow key. To exit at any time, press the escape key.
Okay.
Panel 1 of 22.
So, panel 1 of 22. So this is the voiceover training that will come up when you first turn on your new Mac and set it up. She gives you a little, she reads out the text. The text is on the screen and she reads it out and she basically tells you through the tutorial to use the arrow keys. But as you go along, it gives you more and more instructions because they're trying to teach you how to use voiceover. And of course she said, if you want to quit this, you use the escape. Okay, so I'm just going to go through a few panels quickly because I think I will do this with you guys when I get my new computer, just so that we can do it together and you can see it. But I'm just going to arrow right and listen to what she says.
Practice what you learn. Many quick start panels include an area where you can use voiceover to practice the commands you just learned about on the panel. The quick start plays a sound to indicate when practice begins and ends. When voiceover starts and is ready for practice, you will hear the following sound. When VoiceOver stops, you will hear the following sound. Now continue to the next panel by pressing the right arrow key.
So I'm going to
Panel
press
2 of 22.
Panel 2 of 22. I'm going to press the next, the right arrow key.
The VoiceOver modifier. You enter VoiceOver commands by pressing the VoiceOver modifier and one or more other keys. You can set the VoiceOver modifier to be the caps lock key or the control and option keys pressed at the same time. By default, you can use either as the VoiceOver modifier. You can change the VoiceOver modifier in VoiceOver utility. The caps lock key is the third key up from the bottom on the left edge of the keyboard. The option key is the second key to the left of the space bar. The control key is immediately to the left of the option key. On a keyboard with numeric keypad, the option and control keys are also available as the second and third keys to the right of the space bar. During this quick start, when you need to enter a VoiceOver command, you will hear something like press the right arrow, which means press and hold the VoiceOver modifier, then press the right arrow key. For example, you press and hold the caps lock key, then press the right arrow key. Now continue to the next panel by pressing the right arrow key.
Okay. So you
Panel
guys
3 of 22.
You guys get the idea. I'm gonna go to the next one.
Keyboard help. VoiceOver
Okay, she
provides
talks
keyboard
about
help for
keyboard
learning
help.
about the keys. Move around the screen. To move the VoiceOver cursor,
Then she'll
press
talk
the
about
VoiceOver
move around the
modifier while
screen.
adjust the voice.
Adjust
you can
the
choose
voice.
a different voice. Select controls. You use the VoiceOver cursor to interact with checkboxes, radio buttons, pop-up menus, and other on-screen controls. To select a control, press Vo spacebar. To show the items in a pop-up menu, press Vo spacebar. To select an item in the menu, navigate to it, then press Vo spacebar. Use VoiceOver now to navigate and select controls in the practice area below. When you're done, continue to the next panel by pressing the right arrow key.
Okay. So I actually, she wants me to start practicing.
VoiceOver on VoiceOver Quick Start. Select controls, window, cell grid, unchecked. Checkbox has keyboard focus.
Okay.
You are currently on a checkbox.
Quiet. So she takes me to
Control.
a practice area and she wants me to check a box and so on and so forth. I VO'd, or however you want to say it, VO right arrow. I went through a few panels to get to this, just to give you an example of how VoiceOver is going to help you practice how to do it. I'm going to escape from the VoiceOver training.
System preferences.
Okay, we're back to system preferences.
Control.
The reason like I said, I'm going to do it with you guys when I get my new system. Okay? There's no point me going through it right now. So let's just, for argument's sake, we know how to turn it VoiceOver on and off. We know how to get to keyboard help. We know how to get to accessibility. And I will talk about the accessibility in system preferences a little more later. Okay? The reason being is this. Listen.
Control. Option. Open VoiceOver utility button.
She says open VoiceOver utility. I'm not going to do it this way. I'm going to do it through the hotkey because this is the accessibility area. But we want the VoiceOver utility itself because you're going to use that often. So I'm going to get out of here. Give me a second.
Open in close button. Finder.
Okay. I'm back on my desktop.
Control.
I'm not going to talk about the VoiceOver utility in great detail today. I'm just going to show it to you guys right now. And maybe the next video will go into detail. Okay, so I'm going to press VO, so Control Option, and F8.
Option. Control. Opening VoiceOver utility. VoiceOver utility.
Okay. So she said opening
General.
VoiceOver.
Selected as keyboard focus. Control.
Shush,
Control.
Shush. So she said opening VoiceOver utility, and I just stood there and waited until I heard her say, like it was kind of like a beep or a bong sound, and she said VoiceOver utility. And she announced that we're on general. So what I want to show you here.
Control. Toolbar. Utility categories. Table. General. Select.
So again, we have a table. And we said, how do you interact with the table? Control Option, Shift,
In utility categories,
down.
table.
And she says in utility categories. Now, I'm going to shut up and I'm just going to arrow down so you can hear all the categories. And just listen.
Verbosity. Speech. Navigation. Web. Sound. Visuals. Commanders. Braille. Activities. Activities. Braille. Commander. Visuals. Sound. Web. Navigation. Speech. Verbosity. General. UARC. Shift. Out of util.
Okay, so those are our categories, but there's a lot to each of them. But right now, let's say we're in the general. So listen what happens when I stopped interacting with the table, and I'm just going to right arrow.
Control. Option. Speak the following greeting after login. You are currently on a text.
So, speak the following greeting on logon. I've set that up as that I want it. So the next thing she'll announce is my
Control.
greeting.
Option. Hello Zoe. Have a nice day.
So I've set it
Control.
up for her to say, hello Zoe, have a nice day. You don't have to if you don't want to. This is just a general category.
Control.
I'm
Option.
going to arrow right again.
Display welcome dialog when voiceover starts. Unchecked. Checkbox.
Now she says display a welcome dialog. Sorry guys, but I can't see it, so I've unchecked
Option.
it.
Control. Keys to use as the voiceover modifier.
There's your keys to use as a voiceover modifier. Do you want to use the control option and the caps lock? Do you want to use either or, so on and so forth?
Control. Option. Control option or caps lock. Keys to use as the voiceover modifier. Pop-up button. You are current.
Okay. So it's got a pop-up button.
Control. Option.
If
Control.
I press
Control.
VO,
Option.
Control Option space, so VO space.
Menu check mark. Control option or caps lock. Control plus option or caps lock. You are currently on a menu item. To choose this menu item, press Control Option space. To close this menu, press Escape.
Okay. So she gives me the instructions of how to select and how to get out of the pop-up menu. And basically she tells, the first option says that both my control option and my caps lock key are selected as modifier keys. If I go down, listen, if I VO down, VO, arrow down.
Control, option, check mark, control option or caps lock, control plus option or caps lock. Caps lock, caps lock. You are currently on a menu.
Sorry, that was actually
Control.
the last. Quiet. So that was the last option actually. So I had to arrow up and it said caps lock. If I check that, my caps lock is going to be my only modifier key. So I'm going to VO arrow up and listen.
Option, control, control option, control plus option. Control option, control plus.
So there's three options in here. The
Control.
first one is control option. The second option is caps lock. And the third option is both. And I have it set to both. So I'm just going to escape.
Control option or caps lock. Keys to use as the voiceover modifier. Portable preferences off. Image. You are
Now-
currently on portable preferences off.
So it says portable preferences
Control.
off. And if you're coming from JAWS and you're a little advanced, you know what that is. You want your preferences on a portable device, like a USB stick or whatever, so that you can take them with you. I haven't done it yet. I do plan to do so, but I haven't done it. Anyways, so that's
Option. Setup button. Setup port.
so that setup button is
Control.
for setting up your portable preferences.
Control. Portable preferences let you take your voiceover allow voiceover to be controlled with Apple script. Check. Checkbox.
Now, then there's another option there that says allow voiceover to be controlled by Apple scripts. You should have that checked because there's some nice techies out there who have done some nice scripts to make things work differently on the Mac. For example, with laptops, you need a script, I think, for it to announce your battery level and stuff like that. And you can get those out there. The scripts are available, and I will tell you in another episode where to get them.
Help button.
And then you've got your
help
help button. So,
Allow portable setup button.
sorry, I'm pressing my VO keys and going left to get back to the start.
Control. Portable control keys to display. Help speak the utility categories. Table. In utility category.
Okay, I'm back in utility
General.
categories.
Selected. General.
That was your general. I'm gonna show you one more, and I think we're done for today because you've got the basic idea. So give me a second. I'm gonna VO arrow down.
Verbosity. You are speech. You are currently on a navigation. Speak. Verbosity.
Okay.
You are currently on a shift. Out of utility cat speech. Selected. Tab. 1 of 5.
Now, I went into verbosity, and I'm not going to show you this in detail. And the reason being is there's a lot here. I stopped interacting with the table when I got to verbosity. I pressed VO right arrow. So you're moving to the right. So your tables are on your left. It's almost like a tree view in Windows. Your tables are on your left that you interact with, and you choose your category, and then you got to vote right. But then you hear tab. Listen.
Utility speech. Selected. Tab. 1 of 5. You are currently on a tab. 1 of 5. To select this option.
Here there's tabs that you can select.
Control.
By default, your first one is selected. If I just go through the tabs.
Option. Control. Braille. Tab. 2 of 5.
Braille.
You are current text. Tab. 3 of 5.
Text.
You are currently announcements. Tab. 4 of 5.
Announcements.
You are current hints. Tab. 5 of 5. You are currently on a tab. 5 of.
So if I want to select
Control.
any one of these, I would press VO spacebar to select it. But right now it's selected on speech. So I'm just going to continue.
Control. Option. Default speech verbosity. You are currently medium. Default speech verbosity. Pop-up button. Choose how much detail is spoken when describing an item. You are currently.
So there's your verbosity. I have it to medium. And she tells me everything. So can you imagine having it to high? It would drive me mental. But if you're a newbie beginner and you need it to be on high, this is where you would set it. Okay, I have mine set to medium, and I intend to go in a few months. I intend to take it down to low because I've been practicing and learning for a long time, and I don't think I need it anymore. So again, I just want you to hear that announcement again. Listen.
Control. Option. Default speech verbosity. Medium. Default speech verbosity. Pop-up button. Choose how much detail is spoken when describing an item. You are currently on a pop-up button. To display a list of options, press Control, Option, Space.
Okay, so she tells me how to select it and so on and so forth. And I'm just going to keep going, vote right.
Additional speech verbosity options, expanded, disclosure triangle. You are currently on a
All right. And here we come to a disclosure triangle. And I'm not going to describe that today. Okay? So I think that, let me just see what else is
Control,
in here.
Option. You are currently on a table. To enter this table, press Control, Option, Shift, down arrow, L button, L button. Custom additional speech verbosity options, expanded, disclosure triangle.
Okay.
You are. Control.
The disclosure triangle we're going to talk about on the next episode. I think I'm going to end it here because we know how to turn VoiceOver on and off. Command F5, sorry. We know what your modifier VoiceOver keys are. They're the first two keys on the keyboard at the bottom left, your Control and your Option, or your caps lock. And that is your preference, what you're going to use. Or you could have them both there. Because, okay, let me, before I just summarize, let me explain to you why I chose both. Sometimes, depending on what I'm doing, it's just easier for me to stick my finger on these two keys. And actually with one finger, I can hold both of them down.
Control, Option.
So I just have my finger laying on the two keys. And then I can just, I have my palm flat, like my hand flat on the desk. And my one finger is holding down the two keys. It's just laying across the two keys. And then with my other hand, I just...
Custom verbosity, additional media, default speech verbosity.
And with my other hand, I arrow around. But let's say I want to use something with, let's say, the F keys, okay? It might be easier for me to just press caps lock.
VoiceOver utility to running applications.
So I pressed caps lock F1 and she told me that the VoiceOver utility is running. So that's a description of the application that I have running. It's easier for me to just press caps lock F1 than to hold down the two keys. It's closer. The caps lock key is closer to the F1. So I have both choices. So, yeah, so we'll talk about disclosure triangles and so on and so forth a little bit later, because you obviously are going to need them to use your VoiceOver utility. So this is the mistake that when I got the Mac, this is the mistake all these Mac people made with, at least with me, is they said, oh, go into VoiceOver utility and choose your preferences. Really? Well, what the heck is interacting? What the heck is a disclosure triangle, and how do you navigate it? How do you set the verbosity so that VoiceOver can help me? Nobody tells you these things, or at least they forget. So in other words, I wanted to briefly show you the VoiceOver utility, but we'll get into it more detail a little bit later. I just wanted to introduce VoiceOver to you. So I'm just going to get out of here. Give me a second.
Option. Pin. Tech breaks. Zoom. Minimize button. Close button. Finder.
Okay. So we're back on the desktop.
Control.
And I just want to remind you that if you do want to play with the VoiceOver utility, even though you don't know a few very important things, like, let's say, I touched on interacting. I showed you what interacting is, but you need to practice it. So do the VoiceOver training, do the keyboard help. Remember Command F5 to turn VoiceOver on and off. That's like restarting JAWS. You're restarting VoiceOver. And remember VOF8 for your VoiceOver utility. And of course, we said System Preferences, go to Accessibility, and make sure VoiceOver is enabled. When you first start VoiceOver, I think it actually automatically takes you there. If I remember correctly, it'll say, go to System Preferences and enable VoiceOver. And of course you say yes, and then you check it and everything is fine. But anyways, like I said, when I get my new system, we'll do it together. So that's it for today. I think you got an idea about the, pardon me, the VoiceOver help. And there are help tags as well. We'll talk about more, like I said, we're not done with VoiceOver. We're not done talking about VoiceOver. But I just wanted an introduction to you, for you guys, okay? So, see you on the next episode where we will continue with the VoiceOver utility. And we're also going to talk about disclosure triangles and interacting again, so that you can work with the VoiceOver utility. So that'll be our next episode. So see you later. Bye.
You can catch Learning Together every Friday afternoons at 4 p.m. on Whose Blind Life Is It Anyway? And Zoe's Blind Kitchen Corner. Remember, Zoe Fiogkos can be reached at Zoe's Blind Kitchen Corner at gmail.com, or you can send it to Whose Blind Life Is It Anyway at gmail.com, and we will forward the messages on to Zoe herself. If you have any questions, please feel free to send them to us, any concerns or criticisms, and we will address them in a future episode. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.